Sitting behind me are two of the freshest mid-size sedans on the market. For 2016, Chevrolet has an all-new Malibu, while over at Nissan, a major mid-cycle refresh has arrived for the Altima. Now these are two nice-looking, decent mid-size sedans, but I do think one is just a little better than the other. Let me tell you why. So let's start by talking about how this Altima drives. Now, as you probably would expect, things in here are pretty predictable. The steering is vague, there's not a ton of feedback, but when you're pushing it through corners, it's just fine. There isn't too much body roll or anything like that, and the balance is nice. It's not too stiff, it feels good over rough roads, and it still eats up broken pavement. The Altima we have here today is powered by a 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine hooked to a CVT. Now, Nissan has to be commended for their CVTs because they don't really exhibit all of those traits you might expect. Power is good off the line, and thanks to Nissan's transmission tuning, it actually makes its CVT mimic an automatic. So when it comes up into the high RPMs, it'll drop back down so you don't get that really annoying drone. Where you're going to see the biggest benefit from that CVT is in fuel economy, and on paper at least, the numbers do stack up. This Altima is rated at 27 miles per gallon in the city and 39 on the highway, which is pretty impressive for a midsize sedan. When it comes to the interior of this Nissan, everything works quite well. The ergonomics are okay, but I just don't love the styling. It's just sort of boring, especially when you compare it to the Chevy. I do like the seating position in this car because you can get the seat quite low. And in terms of actual comfort, these front seats are fine. I could definitely do quite a few miles behind the wheel of this car. This midsize segment is pushed towards families, so talking about the backseat is a must. Now, this Altima offers 36.1 inches of rear seat legroom, which for me anyways is actually pretty spacious, although the Chevrolet does manage to offer 2 extra inches. Trunk space is also important in this segment so you can haul all your family's stuff, and this Nissan Altima offers 15.4 cubic feet, which is just a hair less than the Malibu. And of course, we can't talk modern cars without talking technology, so let's start with some of the safety tech in this Nissan. The suite of driver's aids offered on this Altima is quite extensive, and one of the coolest systems is the predictive forward collision warning. Now, what it does is actually looks 2 cars ahead of the car in front of you, so it can predict if it needs to slam on the brakes before you even know something's going on. Where the system really pays off is with the adaptive cruise control, which is one of the best systems I have used. Now that's because not only does it react quickly to the situations, but it reacts calmly. There's no jamming on the brakes. It's quite smooth in traffic. Where a lot of adaptive cruise systems can still be kind of jerky, this Nissan has everything nicely dialed in. And the safety package on this car also includes blind spot monitoring, which works well. Infotainment and interior technology in this Altima is fairly intuitive and it does work well, but it is one thing I think Chevrolet just does better. So let's hop in the Malibu and I'll tell you exactly why. So now we're in the Malibu, and the first thing you notice is, at least I do, it's just nicer to look at. It has a cleaner layout, a little bit more expressive design, and Chevy engineers are really good at laying out all the controls. One of the things I love in this Malibu are the steering wheel controls, because with just these 5 buttons right here on my right hand, I can control just about everything in this infotainment system, and the cruise controls are over here on the left hand side, totally separated. In the Nissan, the cruise control is right beside the voice recognition button, and sometimes you can hit the wrong button. It's a little convoluted. In the Chevy, everything is clear and well laid out. The infotainment system itself also has a bit of a cleaner layout than the Altima, and it's just more colorful and nicer to look at. For 2016, Chevy has introduced some turbocharged engines to the Malibu, and we have the smaller one, which is a 1.5-liter unit. If you do want more power, you can opt for a larger 2-liter turbo, but this 1.5T is totally adequate for this car. In fact, this engine is down about 20 horsepower compared to the Altima and up just a little bit of torque, but side by side, you probably wouldn't notice. This turbo feels quite powerful, and best of all, it's linear power. There's no big turbo lag and rush of turbo power. It actually feels like a naturally aspirated engine, which is quite nice. When it comes to the actual drive, these two cars are so similar. Here in the Malibu, there's a little bit more steering feel, it gives you some more feedback, and it feels a little lighter in the corners, but the differences are so minute that I'm not sure most people would even notice. Now, as I said before, on paper, the Altima has a little bit of a fuel economy edge. This Malibu is rated at 27 miles per gallon in the city, but only 37 on the highway, which means it's 2 miles per gallon less than that Altima. Now, out here today, driving on these open country roads, both of the cars are averaging right around 30 miles per gallon. When it comes to driver comfort and seating position, I'm a little more partial to this Malibu, mainly because for me as a tall guy, I sit a little bit lower in it. But again, it's such a small difference. Both these cars are pretty comfortable to sit in. Now, same goes for backseat comfort. Besides the fact that on paper this Malibu has 2 extra inches of rear seat legroom, it's not really noticeable. I fit okay in the backseat of both of these cars. However, here in the Malibu, the seats are contoured a little bit skinny for me. I wish it was a bit wider, but of course I'm wider than most people, so they're probably just fine. At the base level, you'll pay about $600 more for the Altima than you will the Malibu, and that story stays the same as you climb through the trim levels. But overall, this Chevrolet Malibu offers better style, more space for the family, and most importantly, more value.